Okay, we are live down here at the clubhouse at 100 Kellogg's. Week 5 almost in the books. Week 6 is in the books for college football. We got a lot going on. Baseball playoffs are happening. The NHL starts back this week. I put a little post into our Instagram account this morning. Is there a better time to watch sports than right now?
Well, outside of football, I don't care about the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, but if we were out at a bar, we're watching the World Series. I know you couldn't care less about hockey, but I mean, hockey's starting again, so there's excitement going on. I'm not a big NBA guy, but the NBA preseason is underway. From my understanding, the WNBA is in the playoffs right now. There's a lot going on right now. If you want to bet on sports, you do not need to go into Russian tennis. You do not need 1 a.m. table tennis.
You do not need to tell me where to spend my money, first off, because that's where it's going to go. Ping pong and Russian floor hockey, middle of the night. Oh man, cool bet was the spot, eh?
Yeah.
The most obscene sports wrong. I think I bet on WrestleMania once.
Yeah, the best thing ever was when we told the guy that was running it, like, hey, you need to put a breathalyzer on this thing.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, that's kind of counterproductive to us. But, yeah, breaking news just popped out. I mean, not really breaking news, but because the Chiefs are on, we're looking at Rashid Rice is going to miss the season. Not surprising considering how messed up his knee was, how bad the injury looked, but they just put that out there right there. So he's going to end up on IR.
Should we call that karma? Is that in poor taste?
Yeah, I think I think that he had it coming to him. Yeah, karma. We'll call it karma, whatever. Whether you hate the Chiefs or you hate that guy because he's a piece of shit human being, it doesn't really make a difference because we're not going to see him until
his mom stole a UPS package right after all that went down.
Yeah, there is. That is not a character family, I'll tell you. I mean, we're all. I should also say we're accusing the person because we read something on like a social media post. By no means is this a court of law. By no means are we lawyers burying it. But it is a fun story. Just like I cannot get.
She wore the Mama Rice jersey as she went and took the package on the camera.
Yeah, maybe she's being framed. maybe it's just a frame job. You know, we've seen a lot of these deep fakes out there, so maybe it's a deep fake. You know, but there was lots going on this weekend. You know, we're not going to break down baseball. But there was lots of exciting baseball.
That is good because I would have brought nothing to that conversation.
But we should start with Saturday, and we are going to get into Sunday, but we got lots of time, and Kaylin's not here, so we have even more time to talk. We have Alabama going down to Vanderbilt, Arkansas taking down Tennessee, which is not the same scale of upset, but watching that game go back and forth, pretty insane. Michigan. They start to get throttled. They come all the way back, and then Washington ends up putting them to bed. And there's another one that's escaping me right now, but
the USC loss.
USC, you're right. Yeah. So you have all these teams. You know, the conferences have realigned. This is probably to be expected. I think if you drew it up, you could probably guess Minnesota could beat USC. You know, any given Saturday, I guess is what we'll call it. Washington played Michigan in the national championship game last year, so maybe not a far cry, even though it's not the same roster. You know, you could give Tennessee a pass on Arkansas because that's an SEC team. That's a pretty powerful team. They're built a little different. But then we get to Alabama. I think it's kind of shameful. You and I were kind of talking about it before we came on here. I think it's kind of shameful that they remained in the top 10 after something like that.
I actually thought I knew they'd stay in the top 10. I'm actually shocked how far they fell. I have a problem with Georgia still being ranked ahead of them.
Yeah, and I think when the playoff poll comes out, I think that'll correct itself. This is the Associated Press. This is the What Have You Done For Me Lately group. And when you look at the What Have You Done For Me Lately group, that's they had a team like Missouri who, because of the preseason rankings and because they hadn't lost coming into this week, they were the number 9 team. They went to Texas A&M, just got handled.
They got slapped.
Yeah, that was Texas A&M's biggest win against a ranked opponent in school history. Like, Texas A&M has some history.
Yeah.
Johnny Manziel was there, you know, whatever. But yeah, I don't know what to make of the Alabama beats Georgia and then they lay an egg. I know enough to say that if Nick Saban was the coach, that would not have happened.
I can promise you right now that would not have happened.
And maybe that's too heavy of an indictment on to Kalen DeBoer, but it is what it is, man. Like,
there were signs on his front lawn, like, calling for his job.
oh, yeah, there were sale signs when he got home, like, guaranteed. And I don't think that he's doing a bad job. I don't think that he's doing...
Well, he beat Georgia, which Nick Saban had a tough time doing the last couple of years.
Right.
But I think they took the foot off the gas in an SEC game, and you can't do that.
Yeah.
And you rolled into, you had to roll into Nashville to play that game.
Oh.
And also, they carried the goalpost down Broadway.
Yeah, they did. And you know what? Like, that's I mean, it would be a cool tradition if you go to that school. I guess as just like an old white. I didn't love it. I think rushing the field is stupid.
You know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
If you rush the field and you get sucker punched by a defensive player who lost that game,
yeah.
You're on their field. It's like when you go swimming in the ocean and the shark attacks you.
Yeah.
That's on you.
Yeah, like, I don't like you rushing the field. I don't like that you rip the goalpost down. I don't like that it's so traditional to do it. You know, the one that really bothered, and I mean, look, Vanderbilt's going to do what they're going to do. They beat the number one team. You know, they've never beaten a top 5 opponent in their school history. But when Colorado did it to Baylor, that was kind of a joke because, like, you're ranked higher than them. Like, you're supposed to win. You just happen to catch a Hail Mary. I think that's, like, stupid, and it would never happen in the NFL. It would never happen in any other sport. I guess college basketball, they rush the court a little bit, but maybe with not the ferocity and, like, the intensity behind it. Yeah, like you said, you're asking for someone to get beat up. You're asking for a lawsuit.
I don't know who number 13 on Alabama is, but that guy was a loose cannon at the end of that game.
Yeah.
You're telling me that guy wasn't going to hit somebody?
Right. They're lucky it wasn't Georgia playing them.
Yeah.
Look at how some of these games can get it. Like the Michigan State-Michigan game a few years ago when they had a brawl in the tunnel. So these fans don't want that. Like,
no.
These guys are paying $25,000, $30,000 a year to be in school. Or their parents are, and you're going to climb a goalpost. One of those kids falls off the goalpost, breaks their neck, they're going to sue the university. Like, that needs to stop. I get it. It looks cool on TV. It made for some fun Instagram posts all over the place, but, like, I think that that's a joke. And the NCAA, for all the stuff that they want to control, to not try and control that it's silly.
Yeah. No, the rush on the field, all that shit has to end. We live in a world where, like, everybody's, like, suing the next person over. Like, how is this still happening?
Right. People sue McDonald's because their coffee's too hot. You're telling me someone's not going to fall off the goalpost?
You're telling me you don't run by a defensive end, he just gives you one of these because you came to his space?
Right.
Then you fall and you roll up on that guy and that guy tears his ACL?
Yeah. Yeah, and whatever. Enough said about that. I think that's kind of a bit of
But I did see the best meme, though. There was a picture when Alabama slapped Wake Forest in the third quarter. It was 52-0. And the whole stands were empty except for one guy sitting there.
Yeah.
And the caption just said, "This one's for him." And I was like, I like that.
I think it was Vanderbilt, wasn't it?
Yeah. I said Wake Forest?
Yeah.
It was Vanderbilt, yeah.
Yeah.
So that one's for him. And I was like, I like that.
Yeah, well, that's good, and, like, that's the right thing. That's the right approach. I don't know who Alabama plays next, but I wouldn't want to be them.
It's going to be bad.
Yeah, and like I said, it's going to be another SEC opponent, but I wouldn't want to be them because,
Well, let's go to Oklahoma because that'd be a really bad awakening to the SEC.
Yeah. I know Oklahoma's got Texas this week because Texas has a little bit of a quarterback controversy going on.
I don't think there's controversy.
It's Quinn Ewers, right?
It has to be Quinn.
They did announce that he's coming back, so I would expect for him to be the starter. You know, the Red River rivalry in the SEC is the first time it's going to happen. So pretty interesting there.
The Cox are going to Tuscaloosa.
Okay, so
That's going to get violent.
Yeah, so it's going to be a bad day to be a Gamecock.
Yeah, bad day to be a cock.
Yeah. Yikes. Yeah, it sounds like 2024. Okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes because, you know, not everyone's into the college football, but we get into the NFL slate. Before we get, and we'll talk a little bit about Thursday because obviously it hurt your feelings a bit. Did you know that Sunday was the longest day of NFL football in the league's history?
It had to be. That game didn't start. We talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
At 9:15, the players were still in the change room, and you guys all make fun of me because I go to bed early. I made the decision that was the time for me to shut the TV off and go to bed.
Yeah, well, good thing because it was about 15 minutes later they came out of the tunnel and you would have been up till 1 o'clock. But yeah, the first game kicked off at 9:35, and the last play of Sunday night happened at 12:59. So, I mean, a lot of football, blessed with a lot of football, a lot of close games, and a few bad teams, and a few disappointing teams. And those disappointing teams started right away. I think coming into the year, we looked at the AFC East and we thought, okay, Buffalo, Miami, New York, everyone knows that the Patriots are kind of just like off into the wind. But now, like, you look at Miami's situation, they don't have a hope in hell. Like, they beat the Patriots, but, everyone's going to beat the Patriots except for the team that takes them too lightly, like Cincinnati did. But we look at Buffalo, we look at New York.
Buffalo doesn't scare me.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, the way that Buffalo's built right now, the way that New York is built right now, are you scared of either of those teams?
The Jets can't just figure it out. I don't know what it is. Maybe it is. Is it Aaron Rodgers? I don't know. They sucked even worse last year without him. So
I think it's bad play calling, honestly. Yeah. I mean,
and when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, he's not mobile anymore.
Yeah.
He used to be able to move around a little bit. He can't. He's 40 years old. That offensive line is atrocious.
He got the shit beat out of him.
And they're talking about Devontae Adams possibly going to the Jets. Last time I checked, Devontae Adams can't block a defensive end.
Correct. And nor are they going to even bother asking him to.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not going to be the guy inside chipping. He's not going to be running any crack blocks. Devontae Adams is probably going to block on the outside if you ask him to. But his job is to get out there and get open so you can get some first downs.
So I don't see him helping that situation.
No.
And then as far as the Bills go, can we just talk about how obvious it was that they need Stephon Diggs?
Or somebody, right? They just didn't.
9 for 30 is what he finished with yesterday. Almost more rushing yards than passing yards.
Yeah. Well, it was hard to watch, and he got off to a 1-9 start, 1-for-9 start, and as a Josh Allen fantasy owner, not ideal. I mean, he ended up getting some points as he kind of went through the thing, but without Dalton Kincaid is a good second or third option, not your first, so he was wiped out. Keon Coleman's still trying to figure it out. Curtis Samuel is not a receiver; he's a gadget player.
Shakir.
Shakir was out, so he wasn't even playing. Mac Hollins couldn't get open.
He's only number one receiver.
Exactly.
And look at the DBs that every DB in the NFL is good. I'm sorry, I don't care who you are. But in Houston, they have a really good defense, and now you can't get open. Not even a problem.
And that's where it kind of lies. And if you look at it as a group, we looked at the AFC coming into this year as the AFC should win the Super Bowl. The AFC has all the strongly built teams. The AFC North is so strong. The AFC East is so strong, and not yet. I mean, it's early. And
the Chiefs don't scare me.
The Chiefs don't scare you because they don't have that big play. They have a big player. They don't have that possession receiver that's going to convert it. Travis Kelce, I think, is still going to find a way to get his yards.
Can we talk about that for a second? Everybody is absolutely dunking on him right now. And I'm going to make it very clear. When it comes down to the playoffs when you need him, he's getting 10 catches, right?
He's going to score tonight.
Everybody's coming at him saying he's washed up. He had no legs last year, so this isn't a surprise.
Right.
Now everybody's just on the hate train. But what did you do in the second half of the Super Bowl last year? He had 9 catches in one half of football.
Well, and he still has that ability. The problem is they're not working in the same sequence, which is okay. I mean, they're going to figure that out. 5 weeks into the season, you'd expect to be figured out, but the Chiefs haven't played. I wouldn't say great. Like, I don't know. They've been adequate for 4 weeks, but they're 4-0. So even when they're trying to figure out, they're better at winning than most teams, even though they might not be better at football right now.
But like their best receiver is now out.
Yeah.
So where's that ball going?
Right. So I think a guy like Worthy going over the top, but again, he's not a possession receiver, so you got to look at next up for them would be like Juju Smith-Schuster. I looked at his stat line or like his prop for. It's like, I wonder when we can get him at. They got him at 17 and a half, and they're like,
yards?
Yeah, like that is.
I hope he hit the over.
Yeah, I just decided to not play it because I didn't really know how that was gonna go, and like if he gets like 9 yards, I'm gonna be pissed. Like I don't know. You left, but last week, did Carter send you his bet?
Yeah, I saw when I was here.
Okay, so he lost his like $900 bet over like a half a yard.
But that happened to me 2 Thursdays ago.
Yes.
Did I not tell you this?
No.
So Cowboys, when they're on the Thursday night game, I had Dak 2 touchdowns, check. Dak 20 completions, check. CeeDee Lamb anytime touchdown, check. Alternate passings I bumped down to 225 for Dak Prescott, 221.
Attaboy. What a scumbag.
In the third quarter, he had 19 completions and 190 yards. I thought we were laughing.
What an absolute scumbag.
So yeah, I get it. It hurts.
But yeah, I didn't want to be in that situation, so I went on Chris Olave to score tonight and Travis Kelce to score tonight. And
Well, I heard Taylor's going to be there, so he's going to get in the end zone.
Yeah, well, I think he's going to get in the end zone. I think he's going to get his catches. Wouldn't surprise me if he has like one of those, like 8 catches, 98 yards and a touchdown, or maybe even 2 touchdowns. I think that I actually think this game's going to be pretty good. I think it's going to be high scoring. New Orleans has a lot to prove after the way they shot out of the gate and the way that they've played the last 2 weeks. So they got a lot to prove. I think the Chiefs go down tonight, but I didn't put any money on that because I'm not an idiot. You don't bet against Patrick Mahomes.
No.
But yeah, so if we're talking about the AFC, like you got the Chiefs. Denver is kind of like bubbled up to the surface here. I don't think that they're real, but they've bubbled up to the surface. They're playing defense. Their quarterback's not turning the ball over as much. The Chargers are kind of around, hanging out in there, but you could basically put a knife into the Browns.
Yeah.
And like lube the knife up first before you put it in there.
They don't use that.
The Raiders, they're dead.
But the Raiders wanted to be dead.
So it's strange the way that whole thing's going down, but to go from Minshew to O'Connell, like I really thought that they mismanaged that. They should have started with O'Connell, knowing that you had Minshew there with 15 million reasons to be your backup quarterback. But the fact that you've now put this guy on the bench who you think beat out the other guy, O'Connell, he's just going to keep playing because I think he's going to be around the league for a little while. Like he's going to be a backup quarterback everywhere. He's never going to be the starter. But at this point, if you're looking at the Raiders, you're looking at being the worst team in the league so that you can draft a quarterback.
That has to be the plan.
Yeah, and if it's not, then you're wrong. Like if I were them, I would be trying to get rid of. I mean, Devontae Adams is supposed to be traded in the next 2 days. I would move on from Max Crosby, not because he's not a great player, but you could actually get some proper value for him. Christian Wilkins, you just signed him in the offseason, but I think you could still move it. Like anybody and everybody that you can get some value for, it's just time to strip that thing down. Like Gardner Minshew, who maybe just trade him to Miami. Get him out of your building. Not that he did anything wrong, but this guy goes to Miami. He's probably far and above, like a Tyler Huntley kind of guy.
He's better than Tyler Huntley.
That's what I mean. Like you get that salary off your books. You get all the way to the floor. and then you head into the draft, and hopefully the guys that are on your, like in your front office, know how to draft.
Which they don't, so I think that's
They
the problem.
don't. But that, that's not here or there. But then you start to look at like Miami and New England. I think they're both dead. Cincinnati, we would count them out if they didn't have Joe Burrow, but like I think that they're out. Like they're 1-4 right now. Outside of that, there's no separation anywhere in the AFC.
No.
Like we'll call it the Chiefs because the Chiefs are 4-0.
Because we have to put them there.
Yeah, but everybody else is either 3-2 or 2-3, and there is no separation. Every game, like I think every game's going to matter in the AFC more than it does in the college football playoff right now, and that's not what we expected going in. So, as you look through the teams, and like I think that it's going to be an active trade deadline, but as you look through the teams, like I looked at Buffalo, and I looked at Pittsburgh, and I looked at the Jets, and I was like, all three of these teams are going to be fighting for 2 playoff spots, and like, what is the deciding factor? And like, do you fight to get in? Like, I mean, Buffalo's winning the division.
If I'm Buffalo, I'm going out. I'm getting Devontae Adams.
Yeah,
I'm not letting, like, kind of like how we said before, like in the free agency, you let him in their building and you don't leave. You
Yeah.
don't let them leave.
right.
You need that receiver. So what? Right now, they said the asking price is a 2nd-round pick
And the salary.
and the salaries. But if the Raiders eat some of that salary, and you can I would give a 2nd-round pick and half that salary.
Yeah.
Whole salary and a 2nd-round pick. That's a lot. That's pretty dicey.
So the problem is next year and the year after. So next year, he has a $35 million cap hit, and the year after he's 37. So like, a team like Buffalo needs to be able to restructure the contract and like have some of that money stay with the Raiders, or they can't make the deal because like next year they're going to be over the cap and they're going to have to sit that thing on their books. They won't be able to do it.
Yeah, but at this point, your fan base has had absolutely nothing.
Right.
So you go for a mega play, and if you have to eat it and you fuck it up and you lose, at least you tried.
But
And then what's the repercussion? Your team sucks.
well, the repercussion is like you can't sign James Cook because you have no money, and you can't like bring anybody. You can't re-sign any of your guys. So like,
I don't think there's no one there left to sign though. I think like this is a win now thing.
And if that's the case, like maybe Josh Allen just needs to take a pay cut. Like somebody has to take a pay cut somewhere to fit that $35 and $37 million cap number in there. It doesn't, like, we're not cap geniuses. I mean,
Math was not my strong suit. I won't try to say that it was.
at the end of the day, you could add as many void years on there and just pay this guy
Yeah.
Bobby Bonilla style for the next 10 years. But will the NFL allow for that? And yeah, there's lots going on, but there's going to be other receivers that are on the market. And that's why I think that the Raiders are desperate to get this thing done now, because they don't want it to get muddied up. Like, Deontay Johnson is going to get traded again. But little known fact, and I didn't even know this, I was reading an article, because a bunch of insiders were saying, oh, maybe the Steelers will just go get Deontay Johnson back. It is against NFL rule for you to trade back for a player that
No
hasn't-
take backs.
they have to spend a year there. So it's the same, like Hassan Reddick.
Is that because after what fucking LeGarrette Blount did with the Patriots?
Probably. But you have, like, if you get traded somewhere, unless the team cuts you, you can't go back to your original team. You can't be traded back to them, because if you get traded back to them, it's some kind of tampering or some kind of bullshit. But so we were looking at that, and we were looking at DeAndre Hopkins is available. You know, the obviously Devontae Adams we were talking about. Jacoby Myers on the Raiders is going to be available. There's going to be guys out. Christian Kirk, apparently from the Jaguars, is going to be made available. So there's going to be 5 or 6 receivers that are out there. Receiver is one of those positions that isn't easy to pick up the playbook that you're going into, but I would say receiver and O-line are probably the 2 positions that you could actually handle getting traded in the middle of the season and getting onto the field.
Yeah, as a receiver, you can just dumb it down for him.
You just give him a number, like go run an 8.
Go run to the Buick and turn around.
Yeah, exactly.
We all watch Any Given Sunday.
Yeah. So I mean, overall, it's smart on the Raiders' part to get this thing done quick, but I don't see it getting moved for a second. I think it's going to be,
That contract's a 4th-round pick.
and that's exactly what it is. It's if you're taking on that contract, you're giving up a 4th and maybe a player. Like maybe you have a piece that's on your team that could develop with them, or if you're giving up anything higher than a 4th, you might be giving up like a 3rd in 2026.
Yeah. Like, I could see it being a 3rd of the compensation.
Yeah.
Or, like, if you reach X amount, we'll give you a 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then, then it's enticing, right? Then it's like, okay.
It makes sense. Like if you're a team right now and say it's a compensatory or a conditional 2nd-round pick, if we win the Super Bowl or reach the Super Bowl, it's a 2nd-round pick.
Yeah.
If we don't, then it's a 4th-round pick.
Yeah.
And like the Raiders have to be like, okay, we'll be cheering for you, I guess.
Yeah. But, so, like, AFC is great. It's too compact.
Yeah.
There's no one that's that great. On the NFC side, what do we think of the Minnesota Vikings? I'm having a really hard time believing in it because it's the Minnesota Vikings and it's Sam Darnold. But they just keep doing everything right.
Yeah. So I'm viewing it similar to the 49ers. And the 49ers a couple years ago when they ran out this kid, Brock Purdy, and everyone's like, what? And like they had Trey Lance sitting there, who's J.J. McCarthy. And they had some good pieces around, and the defense was good, and the coaching was good. And that's really what it is. They're playing basically turnover-free football. The defense is good enough. The special teams are good. The coaching is great. Like Brian Flores is your D coordinator, and Kevin O'Connell, if he's not the coach of the year, I don't know who is.
Like, Sam Darnold could be an all-pro
Yeah.
this year. Like, not just Pro Bowl. Did you ever think you were going to say the words, Sam Darnold could be an all-pro?
Maybe like at the combine. But as soon as he got picked by the Jets, he was doomed.
Like, you could talk about how Carolina had Sam Darnold and Baker in the building at the same time.
Well, they gave up the franchise for Bryce Young. There's lots of decisions being made out there. None of them are good. But yeah, like when you look at Sam Darnold, he's a perfect example of what I was trying to say when Kalen was here. I think it was 2 weeks ago when we were talking about there is more bad coaching in the league than there is bad quarterbacks. And Sam Darnold is an example of it. Baker Mayfield was bad, then good, then bad, then good. But like it's all confidence and it's all in the way that you manage
Sean
it.
McVay saved that guy's career.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I'm happy to buck and I want to say it was us, no, it was Sean McVay when he played there for 3 games.
Right, and Kyle Shanahan saved Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Like, I believe that fully. He gave him a little bit of confidence, taught him a different scheme. Sam Darnold signed with the Vikings knowing that Kevin O'Connell was there. They probably even told him at the signing, like, hey, man, we're going to target a quarterback in the draft. He's like, that's fine. Like, I feel okay with that. And from day one he got there, he was never not the starter.
The job was his before the season started.
Yeah. And
like, JJ got hurt and everything. But JJ was never going to play.
Right. So you look at the situation that Minnesota gets themselves into now, and it's not a bad problem to have, but you get into the rest of this year, and as much as I don't believe the Vikings are going undefeated, and no one does, it's hard to imagine them not winning 11 games.
11 or 12 games is a real number.
Yeah, and like that number is real because their division's a little bit better than we gave it credit for, but and we'll see this week, but like I would take the Vikings over the Lions.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, and I would take the Vikings over the Packers.
Easily.
They've already beat them. And I would take the Vikings over the Bears. And I'm trying to look around the NFC in my mind and think like, who would I pick to beat the Vikings? Like, Philadelphia is a team that is scary to go into their building at a playoff game. But Jalen Hurts is going to just turn the ball over, and their defense isn't as good as it used to be, as long as you can get past their D-line, which is a bunch of big guys. Is it fair to say that Minnesota is the team to beat in the NFC right now?
Well, I think the two best teams are in the same division.
The Lions?
The Lions and them are the two best teams. And I believe they're going to split that series. I don't think either are going to win both, but I think they'll split that series. And then it's going to be whoever has the home game in the playoffs.
And yeah, because both of those places are not going to be an easy place to play. I mean, that skull chant gets going, and it's not going to be fun to be around that. Like Atlanta, New Orleans, Tampa Bay.
You don't know those three teams. You don't know which team's showing up.
Yeah.
Because 2 weeks ago, Tampa Bay was the talk of the town. We're going to be deep in the playoffs, and then they got slapped. And then this week they had a great first half. And then Todd Bowles did Todd Bowles. It sucks.
Well, they lost to a good team, and like that Atlanta team, Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins. Like, he's going to live up to his potential in some of these games, and he's not in other. But it seems like he's finally getting healthy again, which is, I mean, it's positive to see. I mean, I love a Michigan State guy, of course. But Drake London finally getting the balls. Kyle Pitts finally getting open in the seam. Bijan Robinson
is really good at football. Let's just say that.
I mean, whether he's a running back, a scat back, line him up in the
he's
slot.
He's a weapon no matter where you put him.
And if you want to put him in the slot and you put Algiers out there, they have a dangerous team. Their defense is better than I would give it credit for, or would have given it credit for going into the season anyway. But I think that it's good to see what's going on in Atlanta. It's interesting to see that 2 of the 5 teams that took quarterbacks in the first round are actually sticking with guys that they brought in. So maybe that's better for a guy like Penix, and maybe that's better for a guy like McCarthy. But it'll be interesting to see if they try and use those as pieces.
So, rookie quarterbacks, we just talked about it, sitting on the bench. I am really scared for Jalen Daniels. Like, everything about it says RG3.
Yes.
And RG3 was the rookie of the year, which I think at the pace that Jaden's going, he's probably going to be rookie of the year.
Yeah, I don't think there's even a doubt right now.
Like, it's him or Neighbors.
Yep.
But it's the two of them, but he's a quarterback, so he's going to get it.
Yep.
But I am terrified that he's going to die.
Yeah. He hasn't taken the big hit yet, but like to your point, RG3 didn't take that big hit until his knee just gave up on him in that playoff game. I think it was a home playoff game too, but when his knee gave up on him when they were playing Seattle, and then just was never really the same again.
And so it made him so dynamic.
Yeah.
But like they're 4-1 right now. They've played a pretty good schedule, easy schedule, but you still got to win those games. They have to.
Well, they got Baltimore this week, so that, I mean, I don't know if you saw this, but NBC tried to steal the game from CBS and put it on Sunday Night Football.
That's awesome.
And CBS said absolutely not.
Yeah, no.
They used their veto. NFL's hilarious. So Sunday night is going to be the Bengals and the Giants.
Sounds like I'm watching some Housewives of Somewhere with my wife that night now.
Yeah. I feel like I'll probably be in bed by 9.
Yeah.
Unless there's a good baseball playoff game on or the Penguins are playing, because, like I said, all that stuff is rocking and rolling this week. But yeah, so the NFC is there. You're right when we look at Washington. It's fair to put them as the class of their division right now, just the way they've been playing. But we saw what we saw out of the Cowboys yesterday. The Eagles have kind of flailed around. Like, I don't know if you believe in the Cowboys or if, like, I have my own theories on what the hell happened last night, but Like, do you think that the Cowboys are a viable threat?
So everything on the paper says the Cowboys are supposed to be a scary team. And then they play a football game. And kind of like what I said about the Bucs, Saints, and Falcons, like you don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
That's been the Cowboys, but you know you're going to get because this has been happening for 25 years.
Right.
Like, you know it's like a... And that's how you're getting that game.
Right.
I've seen the Cowboys win. It's like Mike McCarthy's won 50 games in the last 4 years. They don't look like that ever, though.
Right.
They don't look like a team that's... If you're winning 50 games, you should be in the Super Bowl.
I think that McCarthy's won one playoff game with them.
I think the only team to do that is the Kansas City Chiefs. And they've won 3 of 5.
Yeah. Well, and so it was a different Cowboys team last night. And it was a different Cowboys team because Mike McCarthy wanted to play Mike McCarthy football in front of his home crowd, or like hometown crowd. And they ran the ball pretty decently. And they kept the ball out of Dak's hand as far as throwing it down the field a lot. They used like extensions of the run game, and like they converted pretty decently on third down. And I mean, overall, the Steelers defense got them when they could. There was 4 turnovers in the game. Dak Prescott, his 2 interceptions couldn't have been on worse reads. Like, they could not have been worse. One of the interceptions was from the 11-yard line. Looked up at CD Lamb. The DB is just like, oh, okay. Like, you're still throwing it? Like, okay. And then just whatever. That basically ends the half. The other one that actually led to Pittsburgh coming back down and taking the lead with 4 minutes left before everything happened the way it went down. He just hucked it down the field, and Joey Porter was just like, okay, like I'll take that.
Call it fair catch.
Yeah, yeah. Like he was working against a 5'7" receiver. He's 6'3". Like you're not like you have to outrun him.
Yeah, not the matchup you want to be throwing
and like
ball to.
Even if you outran him, Minka Fitzpatrick was going to catch it. But like yeah, so bad throws. Like I don't think that Dak Prescott is as good as he was last year. I don't think Dak Prescott is as good as $60 million on his contract says he's supposed to be. But if they play the way that they played yesterday, which is time of possession football, they might be hard to beat. Because when it comes down to it, Dak sucks until he doesn't. And that's kind of like what I was thinking when we signed Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson sucks until he doesn't, and he seems to like not suck at the right time. So like that last minute drive when they got their way down the field is what it is. Like they get paid too. It's all football, but Dak makes those throws. If they could limit him to passing it under 40 times a game, and actually find like a run game between Dowdle and Elliott, I think they'll be okay.
It just pains me to say the Cowboys are going to be okay.
Yeah, well, they're going to be okay because they have the ability to control the ball and control the line. If like they still got Zach Martin there, and like Zach Martin's your boy, they can still run the ball. So for some reason they forgot the first few weeks of the year that they had a pretty good O-line and that they could actually run the ball, and their tackles suck. So if you keep dropping back, Dak Prescott's going to get worked. But yeah, like they're good enough in run blocking to get them up the field. So if I was Mike McCarthy, I would be trying to run the ball. I would even be considering bringing in another running back if you don't think Zeke has it, but he seemed like he still had it a little bit.
Well, you only need him for 8 carries a game.
You get him for 8 carries, and if you can get Dowdle for 20, do like a little sprint out for Dak every once in a while. If you get 35 carries, you should be in a pretty good spot.
And then we just get to the NFC West, and that is just
I don't know what's going on with the 49ers. You know, I wanted to like injuries are mounting for everybody, so we'll take that off the table. But this is the second double-digit lead that they've blown late into a third or into the fourth quarter.
Kind of seems like the Kyle Shanahan special.
Yeah, it's just it just doesn't make sense. Like to blow that lead they did to the Rams a couple weeks ago, and then to blow a 13-point lead to.
But those are 2 division games, too.
Yeah.
Like, you can't lose division games.
Right. And when a team like Seattle, who the Giants did a favor to the 49ers and beat Seattle, but right now we could be sitting here saying Seattle has a 2-game lead on the 49ers going into week 6, and they play each other this week, which would have put them in a position to put a
3-game lead on that division.
With a head-to-head. So what we expected out of the first 5 weeks of football has not happened, and the teams that we expected to dominate. But I mean, if you're a Christian McCaffrey and you're a
That's why he has both legs now.
Man, if you were a fantasy owner and you had the first overall pick, T's and P's to you, because you took the bait. You thought that this guy was going to be the first overall pick. You thought he was the right move. So did everybody else. The only time he wasn't the first overall pick is if it was a keeper and someone kept him like that. So you're not alone. There's a support group out there for Christian McCaffrey fantasy owners. But yeah, it is bad news out there. Brandon Ayuk seemed to have a good game, but when he had a good game, Debo disappears and take the foot off the pedal in the third quarter, and this is what's going to happen. And I wouldn't go out on a limb and say that the Cardinals are a good team. Definitely don't think that the Rams are a good team, but you can't drop games like that and expect to go back to the Super Bowl.
No. Unfortunately for them, it's just going to be tough sledding going forward. There's so much of their offense went through CMC. And, the running back they have there, Mason, doing the best that he can, but the best that he can is not CMC. He's into what CMC does.
Well, like during that game, he busts out for 20 yards, and Tom Brady just says, if that was McCaffrey, it was a touchdown.
Yeah.
Like, give the guy a break, man. Like,
also, Tom Brady calling games is phenomenal.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy it too.
He is such, first of all, he's very knowledgeable.
Yes.
But I don't think he knows that he's not allowed to be biased anymore. Because he still says something where you're like, well, you're supposed to say that.
Yeah, he's on Fox. It's okay.
I don't think he cares. When he went at Baker last week, that was the funniest thing I've ever heard. On live TV.
Yeah, well, and yeah, the guy makes $375 million over the next 10 years to talk about football. I think that his give a fuck radar is way lower than you would expect.
It's probably less than ours.
Yeah, and you can't, Fox can't fire Tom Brady. Tom Brady could get diddied, and he's still going to call the game.
I don't know about that one.
He's still going to call the game next week.
I don't know. That'd be a tough one.
I don't know.
And I think we can't put those guys in the same category.
No. Different levels of body oil.
I also saw a thing today talking about Diddy, and I know we're going to get way off topic here.
Yeah.
And Liam's going to be like, Chad, please stop. The reason that Tupac died is that Diddy put a hit on him because he was actually in love with Tupac. And Tupac wanted no part of him.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. That seems like a topic for a different day.
I saw that this morning, and I was like, man, how could life have been different if that didn't go down that way?
Huh. Yeah, hey, 2024, wild year. All right, so we do have the Chiefs and the Saints tonight. I don't know if it's worth going into Sunday Night Football, but the question that is all over all sports talk, Chris Collinsworth was talking about it. It was driving me absolutely fucking mental. Is Russell Wilson the starter next week? Because next week he's healthy, but he's really targeting coming back against the Jets. Mike Tomlin has refused to say who the starting quarterback is, and when he's asked, says, well, Russell Wilson was our starter going into the season. He's just hurt. I like what Justin Fields has been able to do. He didn't have his sharpest game yesterday, but I mean, whatever. They're missing receivers. Is Mike Tomlin the guy to not make sure a guy loses his job over an injury?
So this is what it comes down to. You're 3-2 right now.
With the Raiders on deck.
With the Raiders on deck. You play the Jets and then the Raiders. Is that how your schedule lines up?
Go Raiders, Jets, Giants.
When's your bye week?
Right after that.
I think you leave Justin Fields until the bye week. If you're 3-5 in a bye week, that's the perfect time to call her a day.
Yeah.
you're still in range of your division. You're not out of it.
Right.
If you make that change now and you go 3-5, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
That's my take on it. Justin Fields, I don't think has played bad enough to lose his job by any means.
Only 2 turnovers.
He's protected the football. He doesn't do I shouldn't say. I don't want to say he doesn't do flashy things because he had a hell of a game last week.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it wasn't a loss, but he had a hell of a game. And
Yeah, I think he was just nervous, honestly. And it's fucked up to say he's a professional. He shouldn't be having nerves, but this was his first primetime game under the lights, Acrisure Stadium against the Cowboys. Chris Collinsworth is there. The PFF football goofs are there.
not to mention, that game got pushed back an hour and 15
Game
minutes.
gets pushed back.
To me, it's you can't bench a quarterback who hasn't played that bad.
Yeah.
And you're still winning. You have a winning record right now. You lose this week, he doesn't play great. Okay, then you talk about it. Give him the next game, talk about it.
Yeah.
And you're 3-4 all of a sudden. Well, then you can make that call. You roll Russell Wilson on a game that you should win, get his confidence up, 1-0, go to a bye week, he gets 4 reps.
Yeah.
Or do you let him ride till the bye? But until the bye week, you make no call.
Well, and I kind of agree. And to
Because if
me,
you do it, you can't go back.
yeah, they can and they can't because, you shouldn't go back because it makes you look like.
A bitch.
But because they have nothing committed to either one of them, they could just run a 2-quarterback system. But that would be crazy. They're not going to do that. But I think Justin Fields still gets to start against the Raiders, and you see how he's doing. I do believe that Russell Wilson will be the number 2 this week for the first time, and if he's not, it tells me everything I need to know. But yeah, you let him play against the Raiders. You see what's going to happen. See if you can scheme some guys open. I'm going to say, yeah, it was his worst game as a Steeler, and it might not be his fault. I don't think that Arthur Smith did him any favors. I don't think that the receivers did him very many favors when it comes down to it. George Pickens must have done something at practice because the Steelers limited him on snap count, and Von Jefferson didn't do much. If you're gonna if you're gonna do something in the receiver market, do it, and then see if they can make a difference. If not, you got Russell Wilson sitting there. I would say that they're in a good enough position that they have a starting quarterback and a backup quarterback, whichever one's going to happen. Both of them are capable. Kyle Allen, who's the third quarterback, even had to come into the game
I saw that.
He chucked a dart. So, I told you I had to avoid all talk radio because I just couldn't hear the debate anymore. I'm not going to listen to somebody say Justin Fields sucks. I'm not going to listen to somebody say that he was amazing. He was a football player, and that's it. And I don't think that he did enough to lose his job, but we kind of agree on that. Let's maybe focus a little bit on what tonight looks like. Derek Carr, Patrick Mahomes. I really like watching Chris Olave play. Alvin Kamara has been great, and look forward to seeing if that can continue. But you've called plays, you've schemed up offense. So what do you do if you're Andy Reid? You got no Rice. Schuster's there. Worthy's there.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
And I've seen Andy Reid make mediocre running backs look really, really good. And he has one of the best offensive lines in the league. I think they need to go back to running the football. But get this, they have no speed back there. I'm sorry.
Right.
The guy that holds the gator, I don't know the hell his name. You're not an NFL running back. You're a feel-good story, but you're not an NFL running back. Go find an NFL running back. Find a man who's elusive. Who can make the first guy miss. All of Andy Reid's running backs have always been one-cut guys and gone.
Yeah.
This kid's not that.
Yeah. I would say Kareem Hunt gets most of the carries tonight. Wouldn't even surprise me if second most in carries was Patrick Mahomes.
And I think it's simple. Get Travis Kelce the football.
Yeah.
Use your passing game as a run game, and that's how you have to do that. Dimp and dunk it 60 times. Patrick Mahomes throw it 4 yards at a time. Put the ball in your playmaker's hands, you're going to win.
4 yards at a time will
Get your first down if it's replaced.
it'll get you where you want to be for sure. And yeah, so if you look at it from that perspective, do you see any way that the Chiefs can get? I mean, it's still an upset. They're still favored by 5.5 points today. Do you think that the Saints have the ability to take it to them, and what do they need to do to take it to
Big
them?
plays, unfortunately. That's what the Saints have to do. Eliminate big plays,
Yeah.
get big plays. Like, this game has the potential to be like a 30-30 game.
Right.
The Saints have one speed. That's all they've been doing all year long. But scoring points. Their defense is okay, not great. Chiefs defense is okay, not great. But they have the Chiefs offense has to get rolling, has to get first downs, and I can't even gonna say these words. Make the game easier for Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
Like, he is hands down the best player in the NFL. I won't deny that. But make the game easier for him.
Yeah.
Less is more sometimes.
Have we given out a jersey that wasn't the winning team?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Like, the 49ers won week 1. Week 2 was Buffalo. Week 3 was Seattle? Or no, last week it was Seattle. I guess Seattle lost.
Yeah.
They fucked us. All right. Bad memory. Anyway, we're giving out a Derek Carr jersey tonight down here at Clubhouse. So if you're...
It did blow my mind that the Chiefs are playing, it wasn't a Travis Kelce or a Patrick Mahomes jersey.
Yeah.
But hey, we got Derek Carr here.
Hey, there's lots of Saint fans around. Maybe Austin will show up and wear that
the only
thing.
one I know.
Wear that thing as a tighty whitey shirt.
Yeah, be a little toy on him.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts on week 5 or like the college football?
I got one thought.
Okay.
Fire Todd Bowles.
Fire Todd Bowles.
What was the stat that I told you about, Shane, earlier today?
I don't remember, but I do remember you telling me.
What is the one thing that losers do?
Oh, losers lose.
Losers lose.
And winners apparently don't lose.
No, that's the big difference.
Yeah.
And Todd Bowles has been a loser wherever he's went.
Yeah. And, now that we're on the loser report, we got to talk about Cleveland for a second. And I was going to let them slide, but we do got a couple of minutes here. So we're in a situation right now where Deshaun Watson is still a starting quarterback in the NFL because of the trade value that they gave up for him. Carolina said, fuck it.
Yeah.
This guy is dead to us, but they gave up all those picks and $250 million guaranteed. 230, whatever it was. But you look at the way he's playing. I don't know if you've seen this. I don't know how they rate quarterbacks on ESPN. I don't know the scoring
But he's
system.
worse than 32.
He had an 8 quarterback rating. That seemed low.
It's not great. Not great.
Like if he was golfing, that's
Great
not bad.
handicap.
But yeah, we're not golfing here. This guy is absolutely horrendous.
So it's funny you said though, because this morning, so I had a call with my wife, and she was like, "Is there a team that has just always sucked?" And she's like, "You're a Buccaneers fan." She's like, "You were good when you had Tom Brady," but she's like, "You said the 15 years before that were really rough," because at least you had ups and downs. I said,
Yeah,
Cleveland.
always.
She was like, anybody else said, well, Detroit, but they finally kind of maybe figured it out. But outside the last 3 years, it was Cleveland and Detroit.
Right.
And I said, I think Cleveland has had more than 30 starting quarterbacks in the last 20 years. And my wife, who doesn't watch football, goes, that's a lot.
Yeah.
If you want to know how to be a horrible franchise, be the Cleveland Browns.
I think they've had about 16 head coaches in there too. If you think of the other teams that have historically sucked, not just in our generation, but the generation before us, the Cardinals, they made a Super Bowl. They lost, but they made one. The Bears made a Super Bowl and lost. The Bengals.
Lost. Still got there.
But that's what, at least they had 1 year here or 1 year there. Yeah, these guys suck.
But they're so if you want to know how to just be a horrible sports franchise, study the Cleveland Browns.
Tony Danza in Angels in the Outfield would turn down the role of playing Angels in the Outfield for the Cleveland
Into
Browns.
the end zone. Cleveland
Yeah.
Browns. Nah, I'm out.
Yeah,
no one's
there's-
gonna believe this story.
There is no chance. Christopher Lloyd is not showing up to that game to help you, Deshaun. But I do think that they need to put in Jameis. Like,
I don't think you have a choice. Like I don't even like Jameis. You don't have a choice.
but like it seems very, very obvious that it's not Stefanski's choice, and that ownership and the GM are making this call because their neck. Well,
No coach would want to be fired this bad.
well, and the thing is, he must have immunity to this because if the GM's like, look, I'm not going to fire you as long as you keep Watson, he's like, really?
Can I get that in writing?
Yeah, like, don't we want to win? Like, we kind of want to collect our investment, you know? So, yeah, I don't know how they continue to do that. You know, as much as I hate everybody in the North, I felt a little bad for Cincinnati in the way that it all went down. I think that Baltimore is starting to like catching like a little bit of fire, but
Derrick Henry's good at football.
I'm just so sick of the Lamar Jackson like bullshit play that people think he's like, wow, like he's so amazing. Like he's literally just improvised. Like he did not do anything.
Yeah.
He actually dropped a snap because he
ran
wasn't
for his life.
Yeah, ran for his life, threw it over his head, and somebody caught it. Sorry, yes, that right now is considered the throw of the year, but yeah, not for me. But yeah, like I said, we do have Monday Night Football. We got to get some ballots out there. We see the entire bar starting to fill up here, so we want to make sure that we give everyone a chance to win that Derek Carr jersey. Hopefully that Derek Carr jersey is a winning jersey. Probably not for you. I know you don't probably want the Saints to win, but I think the Saints are going to win. And like I said, I think Kelsey and Olave are both going to score. So if you're a betting person or want to make it interesting for yourself, I would do that. So I think we decided that we're going to be here next week, even though it's Canadian Thanksgiving.
We'll rock, paper, scissors later on
Yeah,
today, probably.
But if not, we'll definitely see you the week after. Make sure that you watch the game tonight. Like I said, if you're here in London, you got nothing to do, head on down to the clubhouse, half-price wings. We're going out of Jersey, and we will see everybody next week.